right, Stanford Steve is here. He makes his debut. NBA fan. He's going to the games. He's about to get on a flight for Game 6. College football aficionado, NFL aficionado. I want to start here. The first time you and I ever met was right outside the national championship game, and you asked me how the Magic were doing and what we should expect. And at that point, we're talking about Jonathan Isaac's health, whether he'd ever get back there.
That was my next
He has. That's interesting to me. But this Desmond Bane trade, I want to talk about for 15 seconds before we get into the actual football.
Perfect.
I'm going nuts with the internet hating this trade. I'm losing my mind. Because it feels like we've got this wave of, and Twitter birthed it, but let me rephrase this. Blog started it, Twitter heightened it, and I've been a part of it, where everybody thinks they're a GM. Everybody thinks they're a GM, and everybody wants to talk about the 4D chess that they would play. And it seems to me, Steve, like the way the internet wanted to approach the next 5 years, if you're the Orlando Magic, if you're Jeff Weltman, is to do nothing.
Yeah.
Is to do nothing and hope Paolo Banchero goes from the 9th best scorer in the world to the 1st best scorer in the world, and that with the 16th pick in 2028, they get somebody who might be as good as Desmond Bane. It is driving me nuts.
Yeah.
What you do is shooting has been a problem since they traded J.J. Redick, who's now a coach after being a podcaster. That's how long ago that was. He played on like 5 contenders after he left Orlando, which I believe was in 2013. Okay? Shooting has been a problem. You solved it, and Twitter's going, oh, no. What do you got?
I absolutely love it for the Magic. Absolutely love it. You get a bona fide, and I'll admit, Bane is a hell of a lot better player than I thought when I watched him in college. What he's had to deal with Ja in and out of the lineup, and then just having to produce. I am a Jaren Jackson Jr. fan. I think he brings a lot to the table. He's a different skill set. But when you watch Bane, it was night in and night out. And the consistency is what really, really caught my eye because he's there. Like I said, threes, better ball handler in pressure situations than I thought he would be. And when I watch the Magic, it's like, can anyone from outside the arc make a shot? And it's exactly what they need. I don't care in this day and age about people wondering if it was too much. You get a bona fide starter. It's exactly what they needed. They're going to be a fixture as long as Paolo's healthy in the Eastern Conference. And you look at how the Eastern Conference has flipped absolutely upside down in the last 6 weeks.
Yep.
Is that safe to say?
Yep.
And I haven't even mentioned the team that plays in Philadelphia that could throw a wrench into things. So I find it fascinating that, again, a team that in that fan base, and you guys have just wanted, like, hey, can we try this? Can we do this? can we make a move?
Yeah.
And then you go for it. And in this day and age of the time is now, or you have to this is a step in direction in every good way possible. And fired up for the Magic fans.
Twitter loves 5-year plans. Like, they just love perpetual 5-year plans. Oh, they're doing it the right way. No, you play to win the game. And it's just driving me nuts. And it reminds me a little bit. I saw a couple people mention this, and I actually thought about it at the moment that it happened, where everybody was saying the Magic overpaid in 2007 for Rashard Lewis. Oh, he made so much. Who were they bidding against? Well, Rashard Lewis got them to the finals because of the matchup problems where they had 2 6'11" outside shooters to pair with Dwight Howard. So no one, I promise you, when I had the best summer of my life in 2009, where I'm going to playoff games every single year. We have an Eastern Conference contender in 2009. We'll make the finals, then the Eastern Conference finals the next year against Boston and lost. Like, I promise you I wasn't going, slight overpay for Rashard Lewis. No, that's not the point.
No.
Anyway, everybody wants to grade these trades in vacuum, whatever. I could do an hour on the Magic. Yes,
it's not their money.
Or their picks.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to football. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to do the 3 takes we want to own this year for the 2025 season. I had 1 college and then 2 pros. Let's start with college. Let's just have have some fun here. It's more your area of expertise than mine, but I love the sport. It's what I do. I always tell people, like, whenever I do college stuff, they're like, "You do college stuff?" I'm like, "Let me tell you something. I'm reading these message boards. I might as well talk about them on TV. Like, I might as well, like, come on every couple of weeks and fire off some takes, because I got some. Your Stanford Steve #1 college football take you want to own for the 2025 season.
If Clemson wins week 1, they're going undefeated.
Oh, okay, good. Expand on this, because I have a related take.
I almost threw Notre Dame in there too.
Oh, don't do that.
But I really think A&M is going to be an awesome matchup for Notre Dame. But that's a totally different conversation that we could talk
about. Not Miami?
Miami's more about Miami.
Yeah.
You know,
more
like,
about Carson,
Miami
Carson
plays
Beck's
well.
health.
They're going to be fine.
Carson Beck's health.
Yeah, there's a lot of fitting the puzzle pieces in.
Yeah.
No, I look at just how different one year is, Kevin, in this sport, where last year, when you looked at, say, the, top 12 teams in the preseason, and every quarterback was from somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
And now, when you look at that, this ranking is going to come out, or, there's some people's too early, whatever. These quarterbacks have been at the school for over a year at least, or got recruited there. And example 1A and maybe 1B are Austin, Texas with Arch, and Cade Klubnik, who lost to Texas last year, and Clemson. And when I watch Clemson, everybody wants to point to how Dabo, didn't violate the portal, or didn't do this. Again, internet having their way of how people should be doing things that have had success and won national championships, and he's one of a handful of guys that has won a title that is still coaching in the sport. So I went, and more importantly, when I look at Clemson, guys aren't leaving to go other places. And now, what was Clemson when they were at the top of the world? It was wide receiver man. Like, you go back and look at all the guys, going back to Nuke all the way with Taj Boyd, win a national championship with Deshaun, with Mike. And it's embedded. And, they got to stop late in that game. It's a one-score game, and they have the ball in Austin, Texas. And I love what they bring defensively, personnel. I'm not saying it's going to be the Watkins defensive line, but now you have –
They got some NFL guys.
guys.
For the first time in a long time, they have premium picks on that roster. And when I say a long time, I mean like 3 years, okay?
Yeah.
But in Clemson terms.
But they took the long road to get there. Yeah. They recruited them and developed them, And, Brassey's a kid who, is from up the road here at Damascus, Maryland. And I first moved here when he was going. I'm like, oh, my God, he played football here? Like, what's going on in this? And then, Nick Saban comes in, takes who he wants, Ryan Day takes, but that's a Maryland recruiting story for another time. I love what Clemson has, and I still think the ACC is not where the league would like it to be. And when I say that, I think the league in some instances think they have like 5 teams that are worthy of making the playoff. They don't. They don't. They don't.
2.
So what are your guys going to do? SMU is still going to be legit. Now their schedule's different, So I look at Clemson as the cream of the crop of the conference, though, and I look at what they have instilled. I look at the guys that are coming back and felt the failure in the biggest spot. They were sky high upset in SMU to get in the playoff, and then a couple weeks later, they're going home. And it's winter conditioning, which is the most depressing thing in the world when your season is over and you have to think about winter conditioning as a player. So I love that they went through it and succeeded and failed and didn't get to their goal. So that team is all out. They're way too low in all these things. I think the 20-1s are gone to win the title, but still over 15-1. They have exactly what I want in a team that I think is going to be successful in this ever-changing world of college football.
So I hear what you're saying. With the ACC, there's 2 things I want to talk about here. Number one is you mentioned the quarterback thing. I don't think anybody's prepared for how weird this season's going to be, because a lot of premium teams last year went out and filled their holes with the portal, and then with quarterbacks. And then on like the defensive line, the offensive line, they went out and they had a grocery shopping list. And then they went out and they said, okay, we need a center, we need a deal. Teams have gotten, especially on the lower end of the Power Four conferences, teams have gotten smarter about how to retain their guys. So it was really hard for some of these premium teams to go out and say, hey, we need a left tackle. Well, there might be one on the market and you're overpaying for that, right? And so I think we're going to see some teams that were, I think Andy Staples has said this, like Ohio State might be the last team that talented, because it's going to be really hard to go out and pluck a Caleb Downs in a couple of years, like really, really hard. Like they're really, really talented. And go out and get Will Howard from Kansas State, obviously Jeremiah Smith, who was a freshman homegrown, and they've had a lot of homegrown success, obviously. But it's going to be a weird year when you look at Oregon, who's going to start, sounds like Dante Moore, Cade Klubnik, as you mentioned, a homegrown guy who's going to ascend because there's not a lot of premium teams getting those types of transfers. You look at Georgia, for instance. You look at Nussmeier with LSU. Like, it's going to be a lot of guys, as you mentioned, who have been in the program 2 or 3 years and not the microwave option, which I think is going to be a huge thing. With the ACC, for me, it all comes back to the strength of the conference, whether or not Florida State ever gets back by 2030, by the time they leave. Because Bud Elliott has this great rubric, metric, whatever you want to call it, where he says there's 18 teams in America who spend, recruit, and operate as if they can win the national championship. Okay. 15 of those are in the Power 2. 3 of those are in the ACC. None of them are in the Big 12, although Texas Tech, keep an eye on them. Keep an eye on them right now. Like, that might be an outdated metric. Okay. But Clemson, Miami, Florida State, if they're all firing on all cylinders, makes the ACC into a serious power conference. When one of them's down or 2 of them's down, and Lord knows Miami's been a part of that, that's when things start to get hurt. So that's the one thing I'll say. But my take that I want to unleash here is almost the opposite of your take. I think LSU is going to win the SEC. I think LSU wins week 1. I think Nussmeier is going to be one of the top quarterbacks off the board next year. I loved watching his film. So many guys, Steve. I think Brian Kelly's become underrated. I think they played the numbers game in the portal. Like Patrick Payton was their top guy. Guys, Patrick Payton is not their top guy. I've watched a lot of Patrick Payton at Florida State. He is not. If he's the top guy in the portal on the rankings, you're doing the rankings wrong, okay? But they played the numbers game. They added bodies everywhere. They've recruited well the last few years. And then Nussmeier, the one thing I like about Nussmeier is he gets the ball out on time, and he gets the ball where it needs to go in the hands of the playmakers. And I'm never going to bet against LSU receivers. They just have a conveyor belt. Like, I don't even understand it. Like, so it's like, oh, down here for LSU. Oh, only 2 first-round picks. Got it. And so I'm looking at Nussmeier here. I'm looking at Brian Kelly. I think the entire operation's become underrated. I think this is the year, in a year where everybody else has certain flaws or question marks, LSU has become a team with less question marks than a lot of their SEC cohorts.
I get where you're coming from, and it's funny. I've done some digging. I actually have some of my LSU stuff up because
here we go.
I agree with you. I love Brian Kelly, and I feel like you and I are in the minority when you say he's underrated. What he's done, he's won. Looking back, with the Jaden Daniels season, and then you go into last year, they were as hot as you could get, and then it went stone cold. I was at the Alabama game. Game was over. And I just look at the structure. You mentioned the stuff, what they did off the field, okay? When you watched them last year, look how many guys got drafted on the offensive line. And you mentioned Nussmeier throwing the ball. He gets rid of the football because he had to. I think there needs to be some tweaks to the offense. When LSU is great, they run the football. And I believe last year, ranks nationally, rush offense, they were 107th. 107th, Kevin, with that offensive line. I mean, I'm at the South Carolina game, and guys are going wherever they want on defense. They figure some things out and draw some stuff up in the dirt in the second half and run the football to win. But then it goes away. And when I look at the structure, you got Mason Taylor, NFL tight end.
Yep.
He split out more than anyone. Your tackles who are in the NFL, there's no help. There's no wings to help with pass protection. There's no extensions or motions to extend with the run game. It's legit like 5 guys out there, and then everybody else is separated. And I think that's really hard in this day and age with how fast guys are in college and how good they are. And I wonder, everything's going to get put on the quarterback, and Nussmeier brings that out. Are all his decision makes, 100%? No, he'll be the first person to tell you that. Do I love him? Absolutely. He's got some guts, man, and to hang in there. But I think they need to fine-tune some things to give him more stability and give their offense more stability, because when they get into these track meets, the defense that's playing them won out more than they did. And I think it comes down with protecting your franchise quarterback and establishing the run. And that's the things that worry me about them week 1 in a road game against a team that we just talked about that has a ton of talent. I worry. You need continuity on offensive line. All the great ones have it. And now, like you said, they violated the portal, went for numbers, all brand new offensive line. Are they putting their hand in the ground and really getting after it to establish the run? We're going to find out. We know the numbers of Brian Kelly in opening games at LSU. It's unfortunate, but if they do it again, it's going to be hotter than hell, because you talked about what they invested. No one invests more in their program than that. I love that place more than anywhere in the country. It's my favorite state in the country because of that university. But they have to tighten things up on the offensive side, I think, structure-wise, to help them succeed in spots where they haven't the last couple of years.
I almost went to LSU.
Oh.
I was I shouldn't say this. I was a bad student.
Did you have an LSU hat on your desk when you announced?
I did not. So I transferred into Miami after a year. I was a bad student, and I could have gotten no shots at anybody. I could have gotten into LSU, but there was there we go. There was a language requirement that I didn't have, and I could have done a summer school type deal. And I said, there's a reason I was a bad student, right? So anyway, I went to DePaul for a year, and then went to Miami. So all is well that ends well. All is well that ends well. By the way, real quick, we mentioned the numbers: 18 commits for LSU in the portal. 12 of them are 4 stars. And again, 4 stars kind of fake in the portal because a lot of it's done on your high school evaluation. The only team in the country with more 4 stars, the aforementioned Texas Tech Red Raiders.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go.
Yeah, it's like, I think Jaden Daniels, if I have these right. Jaden Daniels last year at LSU, 1,134 yards as a rusher in 23.
Jesus.
Removing that, there is still 1,525 yards rushing, or 12 more yards than LSU rushed for in 24.
Right.
They got to tighten it up.
We'll get going. All right, NFL take number 1. You have the floor, Stanford Steve.
Oh, yes. This is a week 1.
Ooh.
That's an extension of the season. Let me find it. Okay. Are you ready?
I am.
If I could find the game. The winner of Panthers-Jaguars week 1 will not make the playoffs.
I was excited. I thought we were gonna have big things on the horizon. That's it.
I just don't see it yet. I'm sorry. I will be honed in. That will not be a red zone game. I will have that on a screen, and I can't wait to see what Panthers-Jags brings to the table. When I think of week 1 in the NFL, this is my thing, Kevin. I am always off the grid. It's kind of like the NBA with Paulo Banchero.
There we go.
Compared to, say, I don't know, Victor Wembanyama.
That's unfair. That's unfair.
Who's talked about more? Bryce Young won a Heisman Trophy. Bryce Young has struggled. Trevor Lawrence, he's struggled. He's had success in college. I'm in on that game. Give me that. I mean, it's not going to get talked about nearly enough. So you know what? We're going to start this train. Panthers-Jags is your week 1 game to keep your eyes on.
So I love this. And what I love about it, and college does a better job of this, is that the NFL needs to schedule more games in week 1 among bad teams or rising teams where the winner gets insanely overrated for like a week. And we all talk about, oh, here come the Panthers. Here come the Panthers. Like, do you remember when Florida State and Miami were like really bad in the mid 2000s? And they'd play week 1. And then Herbie would be like, I like this Canes team. And then they would just lose to Virginia Tech 2 weeks later. Like,
Yeah.
the NFL needs to do a better job of just getting the hype going. Like, we got too much hype on the Chiefs and the Eagles. Let's get some Jaguars or Panthers hype going.
Everybody loves quarterbacks. What bigger names do you need?
Let's go. If you were to guess who has now, people are saying that somehow the Bryce Young CJ Stroud thing reignited on Twitter this week. I didn't really follow it. It's June 19th. I'll check in on that debate in August. But if you were to guess, if you were to buy stock in one of those quarterbacks for this year, just this year only, not 2029, would you pick Bryce Young or Trevor Lawrence?
Oh, I could go Trevor.
I probably agree.
For a successful season, you're just more than the other person.
Yeah.
Okay. I think Bryce has a lot more on his plate, and he doesn't have the toys to play with. I still like a bunch of the toys Trevor has.
Yeah, and Brian Thomas is a proof of concept that Ted McMillan, even though I think he's going to be awesome, I just haven't seen him in an NFL uniform yet. So
yeah, I need to see a lot more out of Ted too. I'm not there yet. This is a whole different animal.
Yeah.
It's a lot like, and I feel like I'm in the minority, but I want to see Travis Hunter guard NFL receivers.
Yes, me too.
So he'll get that chance.
There we go. Against I mean, hopefully. We had Fortenbaugh on a couple weeks ago. One of my picks, I think it was his over-under for interceptions, Hunter, is 1.5. And I just think he's going to play enough because he's not going to play that much defense, I guess Vegas thinks. But, I think there'll be in enough packages. I think there were 84 guys last year who had 2 interceptions, including a bunch of defensive linemen. I'll take that bet. I don't know what it is now, but I know that when he was drafted.
What's great is everyone loves to say it's a copycat league. It's going to be real evident what he does early on because people are going to copy the hell out of the other person if they just avoid him and are successful.
I know.
Or who takes the bait and goes after him, and then we could have a free-for-all. So I can't wait to see it.
Yep. All right, my number one NFL take. I've been workshopping this for a while. Chicago Bears are going to make the playoffs. So I've had a spiel on Chicago all offseason, which is they had the worst plan in modern football history last year, where they take a guy who has a flaw that not only you and I knew about, my 2-year-old knew about it, my wife knew about it, guys down the street knew about it. Caleb Williams holds on to the ball too long. And then you pair that with an offensive line that was just no thought put into it, bunch of flyers, bunch of guys who were just huge question marks, and all of a sudden you get not only the most sacks in the league, but you get the most unblocked pressures in the history of Next Gen Stats, the most unblocked sacks in the history of Next Gen Stats. They had no idea what they were doing up front. The protections. Now, part of that is firing your offensive coordinator, having your shuffle. They just didn't have a plan up front. So that's not even just talent. That's just not knowing what's going on. To have a bunch of unblocked guys not making adjustments up there. I think that we'll see how much Caleb wants on his plate as far as setting protections and all that. I saw CJ Stroud this year is going to be able to set protections. And that's always, especially with these guys coming in from college, that's a really hard push-pull. And I'm not equipped to say what everybody's responsibility should be. But he sounds like he's going to be watching film with Ben Johnson for the first time. That's good. Ben Johnson upgrades the offensive line immediately. He knows what to do with it. I think you're going to see more quick game stuff because of how Jared Goff operates. I don't think he's going to be Jared Goff. He's never going to be, and you don't want him to be, but enough easy answers. We go, okay, we'll just hit Cole Kmet here for 6 yards. Okay, let's just do that. And then the rest of the roster, it just seems like it's going to work. The biggest lie in the world was told last year, which was that the Caleb Williams is stepping into the best number 1 overall pick situation ever. That wasn't the case, but year 2, it looks pretty good, Steve.
Yes, and I love how they went about things free agent-wise.
Yeah.
Even more so than the draft. And I just want to go back, Kevin. You touched about how, whether it was pressure rate, interceptions, sacks, inability in the run game.
Yeah.
That is a whole offense problem. And when you get in your offensive meetings and things are, I've been in them, and when they're that bad, The O-line is asking why the quarterback didn't throw the ball quicker. The receivers, like, why didn't the quarterback put the ball there? The quarterback saying, why didn't the wide receiver run his route to the correct depth? Like, it's a catastrophe. Everything's wrong, and everybody's pointing fingers because everybody can't believe how bad it is. And what you need is a stern voice that's going to come in, bring everybody in the same room, and watch it together. And I feel like Ben Johnson is one of those guys, right? He's gonna accountability is gonna be number one, because when you come in and it's like a house that you're redoing. It's like, where the hell are we starting? Well, let's get everybody in and figure out what's the best plan of attack. That's what they have to do. Everybody's going to be on the same page. Ben Johnson has done this. He's been successful. He knows how to do it. So I think right there, you needed it right away. And I think the draft was interesting, going with Loveland. I didn't have a problem with it, but you better be right. And when you're right, you got to be able to know how to use them. Ben Johnson knows how to do that. I've never seen Sam Laporta in open field in college. Didn't see him run. And all of a sudden, I'm like, damn, he can kind of move in the league. Yeah. And like, as a tight end, we dream of that scenario. Give me a catch and run, right? Loveland's fantastic. Route running, and good luck trying to catch him from behind because he could scoop. Burden was at the top of wide receiver lists going into last year's college football season. Love him. I love Eli Drink. Was it a fact of maybe, somebody got too comfortable, getting a paycheck? I don't know. But if I get a motivated Luther Burden, give me that guy because he's a difference maker.
I saw some anonymous quotes about Burden, about how they had to kiss his butt because he's a 5-star.
Yep.
And he goes to Missouri and they have to build the whole program around him. Okay. And I saw some people say, the anonymous scout complex, it always comes out a couple weeks before the draft. And I saw some people say, well, maybe that could be a negative. I had Thamel on this show a couple weeks ago, and we were talking about it. And he was making a separate point. We weren't talking about Luther Burden, but he's saying in revenue sharing, the one thing that's going to change everything that we don't really anticipate is, let's say one of the Maryland kids. Yeah, I mean, there have been so many. You mentioned Vernon Davis and Vontae Davis. If Vontae Davis goes to Illinois, Vernon goes to Maryland. Like there's a lot of talent-rich. New Jersey is another one where the guys always go out of state, right? We've seen Ohio State plunder Philadelphia the last few years, right? What if the next time there's a Marvin Harrison Jr., Pitt comes in and says, we're going to give you like 80% of a rev share. Like we're just going to and that's crazy. But like, just to keep those sort of guys home, that could happen. If you're I'm trying to think, if you're Purdue and there's a stud in Indiana, you're just like, what are we going to do with giving a bunch of guys, a bunch of 2-stars, $100,000? Let's just give this 5-star a ton of revenue sharing and then build the program around him and say, you're for the next 3 years, you're almost, I mean, it's kind of the cousin of Dylan Raiola, right? Where it's like, hey, this huge Nebraska program, it's yours for 3 years. You get to be the face of Nebraska. And I kind of feel like Luther Burden is a little bit the beginning of something where a program that's lower on the totem pole gets an elite talent and says, this is your team.
Yeah, I agree. Now, there's a million ways you could go. I mean, we could do an hour on this. Is it possible to do that at an SEC school?
Right.
Is it possible to break it down even more? Is it possible to do it in Columbia, Missouri? Right. Is there full, that's where I think you find out a lot about your alumni, right? Like you mentioned Texas Tech early in the show. They're in their own league right now with how and who is spending money. So like, I just look at it like, hey, does Ball State have does Dave Letterman want to get in?
Yeah, let's go.
Like, does he want to just throw his money around and be like, hey, let's do this big time? We could fill this stadium. We just need a couple players. We don't have a big stadium. I just go down the list. Some of these California schools that just made the jump. So it's really fascinating going to all these different places and feeling the different ways of attacking this. And now that we have this set number, the thing I keep coming back to is the little guys being able to generate $20.5 million. That's
Right.
that's
It's gonna
asking
be really
a lot.
hard.
So to bring this back, yes, Luther Burden was the first of his kind of a, you pointed out, 5-star, not giant market, say, not all the shine. So it is like, who's the next guy, or what is Missouri changing
Right.
to do it their way? They go get Prabula out of the portal to be quarterback. That's another transfer. So yeah, it's like I said, everybody's its own entity, and everybody has their way and thinks they will succeed, and that's the best part of it, is we get to see it all play out.
All right. What's your last NFL take?
Larry Fitzgerald's going to the Hall of Fame.
I love that.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to do that to you.
No, I thought you were gonna do that. His son just committed Notre Dame. Did you see that?
I know. Yeah.
I feel like Notre Dame has cornered the market on NFL sons. I'd think about it if Teddy Clark grew up to be 6'3", 260. I don't know. I played golf with an NFL guy yesterday named Rashad Weaver. He plays for the Jets. Played for Pitt. Very good. Played for the Titans. And the whole time watching him golf, and he would just effortlessly hit it 300 yards. He wasn't Scotty Scheffler, but he was just pounding it because he's just so big. And I was like, whenever
say my kid's saying it's not fair.
Whenever right, but more than anything, whenever I hear a parent now be like, well, my son might go pro. Like, I just want to show him that guy and be like, whatever you do in life, whatever extra laps he does, he's not going to be 6'4", 270. It's not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That we should all meet NFL players so we know that your son is not going to be an NFL player.
Yeah. All right. This one's personal.
Okay. I like it.
Because when I do what I do and give picks on College Game Day, everybody loves to have fun with that. Bad year 2 years ago. Excellent year this past year. But everybody knows the record, right? We don't ever know the record of fantasy people.
No.
Never.
No.
Never. I'd love to have a show and go back. That would be fascinating. But this idea that Ashton Jeanty is going to be a better fantasy player than Christian McCaffrey, I can't do it. I know what McCaffrey's good is. And listen, I think the Raiders are top 5 most interesting teams to me this year because of Pete Carroll, because of Chip Kelly, because they have 2 of my favorite tight ends in recent history, and Michael Mayer and Brock Bowers, and how the hell are they going to use them? They have Geno Smith, who I think the world of.
Mm-hmm.
But, Chip has won with inferior offensive lines. But I don't know at this level. Mm-hmm. But is he good enough to disguise stuff and still, you look at the ways he got Jeremiah Smith the ball last year at Ohio State. Mm-hmm. It was so awesome. So awesome. Every ways. So the idea that Jeanty is going to be this, top 7 pick in fantasy football, I can't do it. So I'm going to say Christian McCaffrey has a better statistical year than Ashton Jeanty. What else did I have out there? I was looking at the Rams for the 1 seed.
Oh, yeah. My last one is the Rams are going to win the NFC.
Oh, then we'll save it. So, yeah, everybody has picked apart the Niners' schedule. I see the high over-under. They are the second favorite for the 1 seed in the NFC, which I'm sure we will talk to soon. But, no, I still believe in what McCaffrey. There's a sick me watching Niners at Bills last year in the snow, and if he doesn't get hurt, I believe the Niners win that game. They found something in the run game where they were gashing Buffalo, and then he gets hurt, and it's done. So McCaffrey this year.
I will do this quickly because you got to catch a flight. So the Rams, to me, the biggest difference is the Rams have hit on their draft picks the last couple of years, and the Niners haven't. And you see that they both have had top heavy older rosters. The Rams were able to go out and get Jared Verse, who Teron Armstead said he retired because he didn't want to spend a day blocking Jared Verse anymore. Braden Fisk was a contributor. Cam Kitchens was a contributor. They got these front 7 guys who are all absolute demons, who are young and on cheap contracts. And then Stafford comes back and Puka Nacua. Allen Robinson was on the show on Tuesday talking about just the confidence that Sean McVay has in his receivers, and like just why he's able to. He's like, the way he explained it was, most coaches don't have the confidence that the motion guys are going to understand where the ball is going and what the snap count is if they can't see the quarterback. And McVay was like, I trust my guys. That was it. And that was like the hack of all hacks. And I just think that you pair McVay with his ascending roster with Puka Nacua. I don't think Devontae Adams is done when you look at him from a per game basis last year. He just had a bad quarterback situation. This team wins the NFC.
I love it. I love the team. I was actually had a chance to hang out with Dan Quinn yesterday.
Oh, cool.
And Scott was, we're talking. Scott's obviously a big Commanders fan, and I'd have no problem jumping on the bandwagon and rooting for a squad.
Absolutely.
Here. And he's just an unbelievable guy. It's the first time I met him. But Scott brought up the idea. He's like, "Did you ever think how close you were if Stafford scores in Philly that you're going to L.A. instead of Philly to play in the NFC title game to go to, like that's how close it was." Yeah. I'm watching that. That was the day of the weekend of the playoff. Booger, myself, and the Gandhi's running laps around the hotel because he's a maniac. Joey Galloway, and we're sitting like, and Stafford's just running comebacks in the snow. Yeah. They're just running comebacks. They're doing it all the way down the field. I'm like, they're going to do this. So I love what the Rams bring to the table. McVay's approach, and everybody talks about the film recognition and memory. But, like, there's, like, Monday night games will be, and he'll be coming out, I think it was the playoff game, actually, in Arizona. And he just put all his bags down. Scott was in a commercial break. He's like, hey, you had so-and-so on the show the other night. It was really cool, man. I was watching. I was like, how does this guy have that much time? Like, he's bought into this whole Southern California, like, hey, bro. But he's the freaking smartest guy in the room. And one of my favorite things, the great ones in wide receivers, back in the day, we called it foot fire. And foot fire is, when you have press man and you're on the line of scrimmage. I could watch Devontae Adams do foot fire drills all freaking day. And the guy could get open in a phone booth. Like, I know people don't know what phone booths are anymore.
No,
but there are
I thought about that the other day.
Where Superman got changed. I don't even know. I don't even know where Superman. I haven't watched a Superman movie in the last 20 years.
I think there's one coming out next month.
Where does he go to get changed now?
We're gonna find out next month. I think they're putting one out.
All right,
we'll check it out.
Let me know how that goes, Teddy. Right. Let me know. All right. No, I just to provide. Had a chance to talk to Les Snead a bunch of times.
Yeah.
Again, he's gorgeous human being. Got the hair flowing. Whether he goes goatee or not, I don't know. And all right, I'll take some draft picks. Let's violate the draft. And he goes against two Florida State guys. So I love their approach. Stafford's an all-timer. I know people have their things, but I mean, look at what he's done. And Stafford, real quick story. Remember back when he had the thumb in the playoffs, and he wouldn't say anything about it.
Yeah.
And it was the year. It was Houston. It was the 28-3 comeback. It was Patriots, Falcons. And I'm at the airport the day of the game, Sunday morning, and I see him. And he was grabbing something to eat. I was in line behind him. I just tapped him on the shoulder. Hey, man, just wanted to say hello. Thanks for coming on the show with Scott and Ryan, blah, blah, blah. And he still had the freaking hard cast on his thumb.
Yeah.
He hadn't played in a month. And I'm like, holy, like I was like, I'm not shaking your hand. He's like, no, please don't. And I'm like, that's a tough ass,
I love that.
And here he is almost a decade later doing it. So, yeah, I'm with you in the Rams. I'm drinking all the Rams Kool-Aid. While I'm here, you got to get rid of the dirty laundry white uniforms. You can't wear those. You have unbelievable uniforms. The pure white jersey with the yellow pants is gold.
Okay. We have some Rams listeners. We can pass that this message will be delivered. I don't have to do anything.
Don't go all blues.
Yeah.
Give me the white jersey with the yellow pants, not the blue pants.
Okay.
And then give me the blue jersey with the gold pants.
It's a good note. Everybody needs to go back to their old school look, by the way. The Magic
advice, I'm your guy.
The Magic uniforms are unbelievable. So I don't know if you've seen the new ones. They're very good. They were basically going back to the mid-90s.
They don't have the dot, though, over the eye.
They don't. Listen, Rome wasn't built in a day. All right, Stanford Steve, he's got to catch a flight. Thanks, buddy.
Absolutely, man. Pleasure.